and welcome to the Bourbon Blondes. I'm Lori.
And I'm Amber, and today we're going to walk you through how to make some really great holiday cocktails with items you probably already have in your home using some bourbon. We have two different cocktails. One will be an old-fashioned and one will be a mule, and we are really excited for you to share these with your family and friends during the holiday season.
So today I'm going to be making a seasonal old-fashioned. It's your basic build of an old-fashioned, which is a pretty simple bourbon drink, but we're going to use some seasonal ingredients in it to make it a little more holiday appropriate. So I have a bourbon here. I'm going to use Eagle Rare today because it's not super high proof. So it's kind of a smooth drinking bourbon, and it's pretty readily available where we are in Michigan at least. It's only about $60 a bottle, and it has a little bit of a sweetness to it, which pairs really well with the ingredients in this drink. So in addition to the bourbon, I'm also going to use, instead of a plain simple syrup, which is in a typical old-fashioned, I'm going to use a cinnamon simple syrup, which is really easy to make. You just make a simple syrup the normal way on your stove. Don't buy it at the store, it's way easier to make. And you throw in 3 to 4 cinnamon sticks while it's simmering on the stove. And also it has a little bit of tartness added with a cranberry shrub. If you're not familiar with a shrub, it's basically a simple syrup, but it's vinegar-based instead of water-based. So it just adds just a slight tang. We're just going to use a little bit of that today. And then a dash of orange bitters.
And this is something you made yourself.
Yeah, I made that too. That was really easy as well. Just a cup each of sugar, cranberries, and vinegar, white vinegar. So very simple on the stove. And we'll have descriptions down below if you want to look at the recipes in more detail. You can check that out down below. Okay, so let's get right into this cranberry cinnamon old-fashioned. But hang on. I just realized that we're sitting on top of a very special and somewhat rare box. So I'm just going to cover this with a towel so I don't spill something on it. All right, so we're going to fill these rocks glasses with ice. Okay, so now we've got our ice. I'm going to build this in a shaker. I've got it 3/4 of the way filled with ice. And we're going to put in 3 ounces of bourbon. And I chose that amount because at our house we like a tall glass of old-fashioned. But today we've got some smaller glasses, and I think this will be perfect for making 2. So I'm going to use 3 ounces.
And that's why we have a towel. Sometimes there's some spills. And if you spill, you can just overspill into the glass.
All right, so 3 ounces of bourbon, and then we're going to use 1 ounce of cinnamon simple syrup.
So when you make this, how many cinnamon sticks do you put in?
I used 3, but I think you could really use 4, and that was for a 1.5 cups of water and a 1.5 cups of sugar.
So if you like that more spicy cinnamon taste,
yeah,
throw in some more
you
sticks.
could totally do a little bit more. So 1 ounce of that. And then I'm going to use just kind of a dash of this cranberry shrub that I made. And I don't want to use a whole lot of it or it'll kind of taste a little too tart. So I guess if you're being technical, I would call this 1/4 ounce of cranberry shrub.
Because that has a vinegar base.
Yes, this is pretty much like a simple syrup, but it's got a vinegar base instead of water. And it's also known as a drinking vinegar. I guess it's kind of healthful. Not this way, but...
So when you taste it, can you really, I'm going to try it.
It's not bad.
It is sweet, but you can definitely get that underlying vinegar.
Yeah, it definitely adds some tartness, but it gets that cranberry thing going and the holiday feeling.
Yeah, it's good.
And then we're going to add a dash of orange bitters.
Did you make those too?
Nope.
Or you purchased them? Okay.
Purchase these ones.
And then where's the bottle that it's in too? It's very
I know,
fancy.
isn't that pretty?
Very pretty.
Then we're just going to give it a good shake. This just kind of lets the ice melt a little bit and mellows out the bourbon, makes it easier to drink for your bourbon lightweights. Most of the people that come to my house that are not really familiar with bourbon, we start them off with old fashions and they love it. So this is a good way to introduce people.
Most definitely. And I'm loving that color.
Isn't that pretty? Now what I like to do is I will top these off with a little bit of the cranberries left over from when I made the cranberry shrub. Just adds a little bit of festive prettiness.
And those were just fresh cranberries that you mushed up and...
Yeah, it was a really simple recipe, just a cup each of cranberries, sugar, and white vinegar. And you just boil it on the stove for a minute and then let it cool off and strain the cranberries off.
And
Very
these
simple.
are your leftovers.
Yep, those are my leftovers. I threw them in the fridge. And what I'll do also is to add just a little bit of orange peel. Just use a regular vegetable peeler just to get a little piece of it. And I'll give it a twist over the drink, kind of rub it around the rim. Gives it a little extra aromatic addition that just kind of tops it off really nicely.
And it smells so good. And it makes it look really pretty too.
It does. Here you go. One
Thank
for you.
Beautiful.
One for me. Cheers.
Cheers.
What do you think?
Oh, that's delicious.
Isn't that good?
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yeah. I think anybody at our house for the holidays would love this drink.
And if you're not someone that's had a lot of bourbon before, there's no burn. It's very smooth, very nice on the palate, and smells wonderful.
And it looks Christmassy.
Great job.
Thanks. And there we have it. The cinnamon cranberry old fashioned.
Well, Lori, thank you so much for sharing that recipe with me. That drink was delicious.
Thanks.
I'm really looking forward to sharing my cranberry Kentucky Mule with you.
Awesome. Have at it.
So we are going to start off with some mule glasses. And these are, you can use for any type of mule. Some people like to use them for vodka, but today we're going to use bourbon. So the first ingredient is ice. Now we have ice. All right, so the bourbon that I chose for our cranberry Kentucky Mule is Maker's Mark. So Lori and I actually got to go to their distillery a few years ago and dip our own bottles, and we had a fantastic time. It was a lot of fun.
I highly recommend it.
This one in particular I just bought at the local grocery store, and it runs anywhere from $30 to $40, $45 depending on what area you are in. So in Michigan, this costs about $40. What we are going to do is use a little Moscow Mule shot glass to put in our Maker's Mark. And depending on your guests and how much bourbon they like, you will decide if you want to do 2 shots or 1.
What are you making for us today?
For today, we'll do 2.
Good choice.
So we will start with our bourbon. And the reason I chose Maker's Mark is it's very sweet, it's easy on the palate, very good for mixing, and it's cost effective. Again, we have our towel down just in case there's any spillage. And I always hope if I do spill, especially with alcohol, I spill it inside the glass. Don't want any alcohol abuse here, right?
Nope.
Okay, so now we have our bourbon. Next, we are going to add our ginger beer, and you can choose any brand, any kind that you like. They are at most grocery stores. You can also get them at liquor stores, different places like that.
What do you like about this one?
This one has a little bit more of it's a little more gingery, which I prefer. Some people don't like that, so it's really just a preference.
Okay.
So I just pour it in by sight. I don't measure it out. And I usually like to get it almost to the rim of the glass.
You're just filling it up.
Correct.
At the top of that.
Yep.
Okay.
But you want to leave a little bit of room because we are also going to add some cranberry juice.
Okay.
So again, it can be any brand, any type that you like. Because you're just going to put a splash in, so you just need a little bottle. So again, just to sight, you don't need to measure anything. And again, just knowing your guests. So if you have somebody that's new to bourbon and you're just easing them in, maybe put a little bit more cranberry juice and a little bit more ginger beer. All right, now we're gonna add the garnishments. So what I like to do is start with some cranberries. So these are just fresh. And again, by sight, just toss them in there. And as people want refills, they can use their same glasses, and these will break down with the alcohol over the evening and add some flavor as well. If you want more of that cranberry taste, you can mush them up and put them in there. I like how they look when they're solid like this. I think it gives a nice holiday look. And then now we're gonna add some lime. So I have some pre-cut limes here. I'm just gonna squeeze them in, and again, this is by taste and preference. I love lime. I think it smells good, it tastes good, so I tend to put more than most people.
But I think the green with the cranberries kind of adds that Christmas color combo in there for you.
Absolutely. Just squeeze those in there. And again, as I do refills, I leave the rind in there and just add more while I'm making new cocktails for people. So I'm gonna go ahead and stir that. And it's that lime, it just smells so good. And then lastly, we're gonna put some rosemary. So this is just fresh rosemary from our local grocery store. I just snapped it in half and just stir it into the drink. And it adds that holiday look to you and really beautiful smell.
Do you think it changes the taste at all, or is it just aromatic, really?
You can taste it a bit too in the drink. Yeah, so if somebody's allergic or doesn't like rosemary, you can leave it out. It's no problem.
Okay.
All right, here you are.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's good. I like it. I can really smell that rosemary when you bring that right up to your face. That's nice.
And I think too, it's just a fun, like having the mule glass. It's fun to have that, and just the colors and the red and green.
Yeah, it's super Christmassy. Absolutely, it's beautiful. It's like a little Christmas tree, ornaments in there.
Yes.
I wish you guys could see it from the top down. We'll have to get a different shot later. We'll show you in the recipe or something.
Absolutely.
This is beautiful.
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed these holiday cocktails. I know our family and friends will for sure.
Absolutely. And hey, we know we're a new channel, so please like and subscribe so you can see what our next episodes hold for you. And remember, a woman always knows her limits.
But she also knows she has none.
Cheers.
Cheers.